Welcome to committee.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair Abrams, Vice Chair Williams, Ranking Member Brown, members of the House Criminal Justice Committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide sponsored testimony on House Bill 556. This bill presents a common sense approach to limit the educational exemption that's been there from its original drafting for pandering obscenity to prevent unnecessary presentation of obscene materials to children in Ohio's classrooms. Current state law creates the offense of pandering obscenity and prohibits any person from creating, reproducing, publishing, or publicly displaying obscene material or obscene material. This is an offense punishable by a felony in the 5th degree. This law contains a sweeping exemption, however, in the form of an affirmative defense that the obscene material was presented for educational purpose. The current exemption does not specify which educational purposes, thereby creating broad latitude for obscene materials to exist within our classrooms without real valid educational justification. The definition of obscene materials used in this bill remains the same definition already in use and familiar to our courts and our legal experts, our prosecutors, and that is included on your tablets as supplemental testimony. It is both intended and has been interpreted already to only include material of the most extreme end of the spectrum, material with a dominant appeal to prurient interest, dominant tendency to arouse lust by displaying or depicting things, or dominant tendency to appeal to other extreme interests, such as bizarre violence or cruelty. Our judges, prosecutors, and lawyers know how to use this definition, and it creates a very high bar for material to be deemed obscene. By having such an overly broad exemption, however, material that exceeds that bar has an avenue to appear in our schools and in front of children without valid reason. House Bill 556 proposes a measured and nuanced alternative by more narrowly specifying which instances should qualify for this educational exemption. This bill maintains the affirmative defense for material presented in health or biology teachers, faculty members in higher education entirely. It further maintains an affirmative defense for material presented for a bona fide medical, scientific, religious, governmental, or judicial reason. All of these are already in the obscenity language, or by a prosecutor, judge, or other person having a proper interest in the material. Obscene material has no reason to exist in a math class, and for those pursuing valid educational goals in good faith, such as in biology class, existing curricula and coursework should not be affected. By taking a measured and targeted approach, House Bill 556 achieves both goals and strikes a prudent balance between protecting children from exposure to harmful materials in their classrooms and protecting the educational freedom our teachers need to succeed. Educational material should serve the goal of making good citizens and good future Ohioans. Having obscenity in children's classrooms without reason does not serve that purpose, and House Bill 556 aims to prevent this while maintaining both the trust between our teachers, schools, students, and parents with clearly defined, with precedent, parameters for all involved. Thank you again for this opportunity to be here. I kept it brief, and I am happy to answer any questions the committee may have, and I ask for favorable referral.
Thank you, Representative, for your testimony. Members, do you have any questions? Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Representative Matthews. I guess just my one question. I went through grade school, high school, and I never was exposed to anything that would be conceived as sexually explicit. Can you give me an example of something that has happened in the current?
Yeah, so through the chair to the representative, we have had people reach out from my district and throughout the state after we introduced this bill saying, and if we have another hearing, can hear from this testimony of, I came in as a substitute teacher, we saw there were things graphically depicting actions that students don't need to be seeing sitting there on bookshelves. We make sure that any of those types of depictions, if they do need to be shown, are in art appreciation, in biology, in health class. You're allowed to, prosecutors or judges, they know how to apply that, and it still falls within First Amendment protections, that if we're giving an exception in the educational space, it is only limited to where you really need that, rather than grammar, English, math, social studies, and the like.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I agree with the the idea behind the bill when it comes to obscenity. The only question I have, because remember we had a conversation that I was looking at introducing similar, why aren't we including school librarians? Because currently under state statute, which you're a lawyer, you know, there's no exception for a parent. So our teachers and our librarians can give obscene books to our kids, but a parent can't take them to Barnes and Nobles and buy the exact same book because there's no exception for an actual parent to provide that type of literary material. And I've seen the books, right, that have depictions, that have stories, that have narratives that are directly related to sex, right, that we're starting to see pop up in classrooms and in libraries in our schools. What would you consider adding school librarians to that same class so it may not be in a classroom, but it's accessible right in a school library?
Through the chair to the vice chair, the current language as introduced, and if you want to check my language with me, the school librarians within schools still get hit by this bill. It is clarified specifically that librarians at your public library, where adults go, this bill does not touch that. This is going after for the K-12 space, so both public librarians that are not part of the school, higher education at universities, this bill does not speak to that. And I can confirm with you offline if you need to. And if not, then happy to amend.
Okay. Thank you again for your testimony. Seeing no further questions, that will conclude the first hearing on House Bill 556.
Thank you.
I will now call House